The amateur pictures we've been seeing out of Syria come at a serious risk. One Syrian resident says, the minute you hold a camera, you are a target for the snipers. And that's exactly what happened to one so-called citizen journalist. Matthew Chance reports how Bاسل al-Said worked and died.
His images from the city of Homs were a glimpse into the violence that's ravaged Syria for the past 9 months. At great personal risk, Bاسل al-Said videoed security forces and the aftermath of their crackdowns, often sneaking shots through a bombed-out window. These pictures were recorded by him a few weeks ago in the suburb of Bab Amma, where he and his family lived.
He chose the field of videography to specialize in because here the person who chooses this must be brave and forward and, as we say, willing to throw himself at death. And he chose this profession knowing it has a very high risk.
A risk so high that it ultimately killed him. Amid heavy gunfire on the streets of Bab Amma, Bاسل al-Said records his last footage. He's reported to have been shot in the head by a sniper. Human rights activists say citizen journalists like Bاسl al-Said have been crucial in shining a light on the protests in Syria.
These are the real essence of freedom of speech we dream for, because they're trying to pass the message through ourselves to the international community, and without them, I think the messages would be hardly to be imagined without their efforts. They are the great heroes, indeed.
Those heroes have documented sometimes terrible bloodshed, but all too often they've become victims themselves.
Well, senior international correspondent Matthew Chance, who filed this report, joins me now from CNN London. We've seen these young men most often, extremely courageous young men who document what's going on in their country in so many of these Arab Spring countries, and now Syria. But the risk is great for them.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much that's really appreciated. And obviously, we get used to seeing these very grainy, very shaky images on our television sets that we've been sort of witnessing over the past year, really, of the uprisings in Syria, in other countries in the Arab world as well. And I don't know whether you've been in this position yourself. I certainly have. When you sort of raise a camera to a military force and sort of threaten to take photographs of that military that doesn't want to be photographed, you're putting yourself in a very, very vulnerable position. It takes a lot of guts to do that, and I think that people like Bاسl al-Said, who was killed in this terrible way, and we saw it in that footage how he was trying to film. He was ducking down, but he was the subject of a barrage of bullets from all around him. It seemed how brave these individuals really are to bring us this footage, Hala.
But they know that the risks are death. That the sniper is aiming oftentimes straight for their head. But these young men do it. I mean, what's their motivation?
I think the motivation is that they really believe, a lot of these people really believe, and probably quite rightly, that they're doing their bit to push forward whatever protest cause that they're supporting at the time. I mean, obviously, these are very popular uprisings in the Arab world. People are making different contributions on different levels. And these people are fitting into a whole network of protesters that are relatively highly organised. I was reading the comments of one of the colleagues of this individual who was killed, and he was saying that they divided the city of Homs into 10 parts, and each photographer was given a little sector to take photographs, take video in, and Bاسl al-Said was given the very dangerous job of taking video of checkpoints, of sniper positions, and of various military installations. So he was taking on a very risky role, but all of them were working towards one objective, which was to gather sort of documentary evidence that possibly in the future could be used in war crimes trials against the perpetrators of the excesses in Syria. And I think that the people who do this do so very much with a purpose, Hala.